Sportico just released its list of the highest paid athletes, and Caitlin Clark comes out on top as the WNBA's highest earner at $16.1 million. Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson is reportedly losing her cool. She didn't even crack the list. Clark is cashing in big, pulling six-figure speaking fees and multi-million-dollar deals with brands like Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. And Wilson, she's throwing another one of her well-known tantrums. Remember when Wilson claimed she earns the same speaking fees as Clark? The reality tells a different story. No major company has ever boasted about booking Wilson for an event, while businesses are lined up to pay Clark at least $100,000 just to appear. Before we break down all the numbers, drop a comment below and tell us, why do you think Wilson didn't make the list, even though the WNBA heavily promotes her as one of their biggest stars?
Clark takeover continues as she soars up the list for the highest paid female athlete in all of sports, destroying everyone in the WNBA. She clearly easily topped that list. Nobody else even made it on that side. Nobody else from the WNBA even made it.
The numbers don't lie, and they're harsh for A'ja Wilson. Sportico just dropped their annual highest paid athletes report, and Caitlin Clark is sitting at a staggering $16.1 million in total earnings for 2025. That's not a typo. Clark's income stretches far beyond her $70,000 WNBA salary with the Indiana Fever. Her off-court deals eclipse her basketball paycheck by more than 200 times, building a revenue machine that Wilson can only dream of. Clark's endorsements read like a masterclass in corporate partnerships. Nike locked her into a historic $28 million contract, the richest sponsorship ever awarded to a women's basketball player. Gatorade wanted her energy and influence to inspire the next generation of athletes. State Farm saw her as the perfect face for trust and family values. Even Force, Wilson Sporting Goods brought her on as an ambassador for their basketball gear. These deals aren't just about basketball, they see Clark as a global influencer who transcends sports entirely. Wilson's endorsement story couldn't be more different. She's largely confined to her Nike deal, one she had to fight relentlessly to secure. She campaigned for her signature shoe, pulling every strategy, including leveraging race to pressure Nike into giving her what she thought she deserved. That's it. No Gatorade, no State Farm, no crossover brands. Nothing that recognizes her personality or mass appeal. The gap in earnings tells the full story. Clark's $16.1 million isn't just basketball money, it's proof of corporate belief in her brand, her influence, and her ability to drive products and attract fans. Wilson, by contrast, is still tethered to her WNBA salary and that single Nike deal. While Clark operates as a full-fledged business empire, Wilson remains boxed into basketball only. Endorsements.
Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark saw a dramatic change in her earnings during her second WNBA season. This is a season that she barely even played. She played like 13 games. That was disappointing for all of us. So, that's that. Clark was sidelined for most of the year with injuries, playing just 13 games for the Indiana Fever. After being named 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year, Clark averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, while the Fever managed to win the WNBA Commissioner's Cup title game and advance to the semifinals of the WNBA playoffs without her in the lineup. That did not stop the 23-year-old from continuing to make history.
Here's the part that really hits A'ja Wilson hard. She didn't even make Sportico's highest paid list. A former WNBA MVP and champion completely overlooked, while Caitlin Clark dominates headlines and conversations. Wilson's social media has been unusually quiet since the report dropped, but if history is any indicator, another meltdown might be on the horizon. She struggles to handle being eclipsed by Clark, especially when the financial numbers are so clearly in Clark's favor. Brands see Clark as someone who can expand markets, energize campaigns, and connect with fans. Wilson, on the other hand, has a track record of controversy and negative attention that has made corporations wary. Companies want ambassadors who inspire, not athletes who stir. Drama. Clark builds bridges, Wilson tends to burn them. This gap in earnings isn't just about on-court talent, it's about personality, marketability, and the starter on coals. ability to represent a brand positively. Clark's financial dominance is also a reflection of Wilson's long-standing jealousy, a pattern that traces back all the way to college. Even before they shared the WNBA stage, Wilson was already throwing shade at Clark. While Clark was making waves at Iowa, Wilson at South Carolina criticized her, pointing to the lack of a national championship as a supposed mark against her greatness. That might sound fair at first glance, but the context tells a different story. Clark led Iowa to back-to-back national championship games with a roster stacked with role players and minimal top-tier recruits. She carried the team offensively, regularly scoring 30+ points per game, while also creating opportunities for teammates who weren't on WNBA trajectories. She was the engine of that squad, scoring, facilitating, rebounding, and keeping Iowa competitive against powerhouse programs with far superior talent.
Clark, I'm sure you saw, just became the all-time scoring leader in women's college basketball. I'm curious, where would you rank her amongst all-time college players, in your opinion?
Ooh, that's tough because you got to win one. I feel like that college is one of those spaces where you got to win one for them to even have your name in the conversation. And it took me 3 years to win mine, so it's hard.
A'ja Wilson's championship run at South Carolina tells a very different story. She played alongside multiple future WNBA stars on a roster packed with elite recruits. Wilson didn't have to carry the team on her back. She had top-tier talent supporting her at every position. South Carolina's recruitment was next level, bringing in players who could take over games, which made Wilson's path to a championship far easier. The contrast with Clark is stark. Clark nearly won a national title as the only elite player on her Iowa team, keeping them competitive in games they had no business being close in, carrying the offense, and elevating teammates who weren't anywhere near top-tier talent. Wilson, by comparison, captured her championship as part of a stacked roster where multiple Badaget Nada-Filvins players could dominate. She leaned on that depth to claim her title, while Clark's historic performances came against constant double teams and defensive schemes designed solely to stop her. Clark literally was the entire scouting report for every opposing team. Meanwhile, Wilson benefited from playing alongside other elite athletes who demanded attention and opened up easier scoring chances. Wilson's college-era comments highlight a pattern, diminishing Clark's accomplishments by emphasizing team accolades over individual excellence. She couldn't admit that Clark's individual impact outshone her own, so she defaulted to championship hardware as the only standard of greatness. But that argument collapses when you compare the supporting casts. Each player had. This jealousy toward Clark's brilliance exposed Wilson's insecurity long before they became professional rivals. She saw Clark dominating games single-handedly and felt threatened. Wilson needed her team to succeed. Clark was her team. When Clark entered the WNBA, that old college jealousy transformed into full-scale campaigns aimed at undermining Clark's instant success and overshadowing Wilson's veteran status.
Thinking the best player in the league should have her own shoe, not just about shoes. It's,
you think?
Yes. Right? I want to get your thoughts on that.
Because you don't need my thoughts. You already know my thoughts.
But that's how young kids, you know, when you're a fan of LeBron, you're a fan of A'ja. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
She needs her own shoe. Let me answer that. She is the two-time MVP. I'll toot her horn because she won't. Olympic gold medalist, best defensive player, 2 years running. Her team,
Caitlin Clark's debut in the WNBA sent A'ja Wilson into full panic mode, sparking a series of desperate attempts to stay relevant. As Clark dominated headlines, Wilson's "I've Got a Shoe" campaign became the clearest sign of her insecurity. Every time Clark's Nike partnership made waves, Wilson posted about her own signature shoe, not to celebrate her own success, but to remind the world that she too had endorsement deals. Her social media became a constant effort to insert herself into the same spotlight as Clark. Wilson's "What is delayed is not denied" campaign revealed an even deeper level of desperation. She plastered the phrase across her social media, OC, signaling her belief that she deserved the same recognition and brand opportunities Clark was receiving. For months, she shared cryptic posts about delayed success and missed chances, each one feeling like a pointed jab at Clark's rapid rise. She openly questioned the timing and value of Clark's Nike deal in interviews and social posts, implying that the rookie hadn't earned such a massive contract. These comments weren't about basketball. They were rooted in frustration that companies were investing in Clark's potential, rather than veteran players with proven records. Throughout Clark's rookie season, Wilson launched subtle social media digs aimed at undermining Clark's achievements. When Clark shattered 62 records, Wilson highlighted her own veteran milestones. When Clark received media attention, Wilson shared throwback highlights of her past performances. She never directly attacked Clark, but the timing of her posts was always calculated. Wilson was strategically trying to steal the spotlight, running interference on Clark's moments, and redirecting attention back to herself.
Wilson is her name, quote, "It doesn't matter what we all do as black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is."
The Time Magazine Athlete of the Year controversy revealed Wilson's most desperate move yet. When Clark earned this prestigious honor, Wilson immediately framed it as a race issue, refusing to acknowledge Clark's groundbreaking impact on women's sports. She couldn't accept that Clark had achieved a level of influence and recognition far beyond basketball, something Wilson herself has never reached. Instead of celebrating women's basketball and the mainstream recognition it was finally receiving, Wilson made it about controversy, downplaying Clark's accomplishments. Clark, 10-6, the other hand, approached her brand with positivity and inspiration, focusing on growing the game and connecting with fans. Wilson focused on tearing others down and stirring division. The difference didn't go unnoticed by companies. Brands want ambassadors who inspire and build communities, not athletes who create conflict. Every attempt Wilson made to take shots at Clark backfired. Her "I've got a shoe too" post came off as desperate. Her "what is delayed is not denied" messaging exposed bitterness. Her critiques of Clark's endorsements only highlighted jealousy. Every anti-Clark campaign Wilson launched ended up strengthening Clark's reputation while undermining her own. These moves cost Wilson potential partnerships and speaking 7-time opportunities, while Clark kept expanding her empire through positive brand associations and widespread admiration.
Did you see how many people showed up to watch Caitlin Clark play golf? With actual attention economics at play, Caitlin's participation in any league has an existential bearing. Nobody outside of Asia herself cares about whether Asia shows up.
Wilson claims she earns the same speaking fees as Clark, but the facts tell a very different story. Clark routinely commands 6-figure fees for speaking engagements at top-tier business, conferences, and corporate events nationwide. She's invited to leadership summits where executives pay premium rates to hear her insights on overcoming challenges and building time, success far beyond the basketball court. These aren't sports clinics or basketball camps. These are high-level corporate events where Clark shares the stage with Fortune 500 CEOs and industry leaders. Companies actively boast about booking her. For example, the Long Island Association Conference promoted Clark as their keynote speaker, spotlighting her to New York's business leaders. Event organizers often announce her months in advance, using her name to drive attendance and ticket sales. She's treated as a major business figure, not just an athlete who occasionally speaks. Clark can earn up to $100,000 per speaking appearance. Organizations pay these rates because she draws large crowds and delivers content that resonates beyond sports. She addresses leadership, perseverance, and brand building in competitive environments topics that appeal to professionals aiming to learn from her success both on and off the court. Wilson, by contrast, offers no documented proof of similar corporate engagements. She hasn't headlined major business conferences, leadership summits, or other high-level professional events. Her speaking opportunities are largely limited to basketball camps and WNBA-related functions, where her earnings are far below Clark's corporate-level fees.
Crazy because literally nobody asked, and sources close to Asia Wilson decided to answer.
Corporations specifically seek out Caitlin Clark for multi-sport events and brand activations because she resonates with a wide range of audiences. She makes appearances at LPGA tournaments, where golf fans admire her competitive drive and sharp business insight. Youth sports camps pay premium rates for her involvement, knowing parents want their children to perform. Learn from someone who embodies success, positivity, and strong values. Business. Conferences hire Clark because she represents the entrepreneurial mindset that executives look up to. Clark's appeal goes far beyond basketball. She speaks at women's leadership conferences, sharing insights on breaking barriers and building a personal brand. Technology companies bring her in to talk about innovation, staying ahead in competitive markets, and leadership. These diverse engagements generate substantial income streams that A'ja Wilson simply doesn't have access to. Wilson's brand remains confined to traditional WNBA circles with minimal corporate crossover. She appears at basketball camps and league events, where speaking fees are far lower than Tamania's. The corporate rates Clark commands. Wilson has yet to break into business conferences or leadership summits because companies don't view her as someone who can deliver meaningful content to professional audiences. Her claims about matching Clark's speaking fees were pure fiction, designed to downplay Clark's clear market advantage. There's no evidence of Wilson participating in high-profile corporate events or earning comparable fees because it simply hasn't happened. These fabrications were meant to protect her ego and maintain relevance in discussions about earning power. This contrast underscores exactly why Wilson's brand remains limited, while Clark's influence continues to expand globally across multiple industries and audience segments.
Here it says, in Sportico's year-end list of highest paid female athletes of 2025, Clark ranks 6th overall, earning a combined $16.1 million in 2025 from salary, winnings, and endorsements. It represents a $5 million increase from 2024 when she placed number 10 with 11.1. So we up 5 M's in an injury-riddled season. This is legit, man. Am I surprised? No. I mean, it's the GOAT. It's the GOAT. I'm not surprised.
The business world has made its judgment clear, and it's brutal for A'ja Wilson. When corporations evaluate potential brand ambassadors, they consider multiple factors, and Wilson falls short on almost every key metric. Caitlin Clark draws endorsement deals across industries because she embodies growth, positivity, and the ability to expand markets. Wilson, in contrast, remains tethered to a single 10-cent Nike deal, as her brand is seen as too risky for companies seeking broad audience appeal. Clark's positive associations make her highly valuable to businesses looking for authentic ambassadors. She demonstrates leadership, elevates teams, and inspires organizations. Giving companies confidence that partnering with her will expand, reach, and attract new customers. Her messaging resonates across diverse demographics, making her a perfect fit for brands, targeting families, young athletes, and business professionals all at once. Wilson's history tells a very different story. Her pattern of controversy, public disputes, and drama makes companies hesitant to invest in long-term partnerships. Marketing teams avoid athletes who generate negative headlines or divisive conversations because that kind of attention can harm a brand. Wilson's tendency to play the victim and fuel conflict is exactly what, for fair, corporations aim to steer clear of. Clark's influence, on the other hand, stretches far beyond basketball. She speaks at business conferences, appears at LPGA events, and engages audiences who may never watch a WNBA game. Her crossover appeal demonstrates that she can represent brands across multiple industries and reach wide-ranging consumer segments. Companies are willing to pay premium rates for that versatility and unparalleled market impact.
Caitlin Clark at number 6. So there you have it. She finished number 6. There is not another women's basketball player on this list. So when y'all try to have these nonsense conversations about who's the face of women's basketball, I mean, come on. It's not rocket science. This is not hard to figure out. Caitlin Clark is the face of female of the WNBA, clearly, but Caitlin Clark's damn near the face of basketball, period.
A'ja Wilson's brand remains narrow and divisive, limiting her appeal mostly to traditional basketball audiences. She hasn't shown the ability to connect with business professionals, families, or casual sports fans who don't follow the WNBA closely. Companies look for Ambassadors who can expand their customer base, not just athletes who resonate with existing basketball fans. Brand safety is critical for corporate executives, and Wilson represents risk, while Caitlin Clark represents pure opportunity. Corporations invest millions in partnerships to grow their business and enhance their reputation. Wilson's pattern of controversy and negative headlines makes her a liability, while Clark's ability to expand entire markets makes her invaluable. Clark has grown television audiences, boosted merchandise sales, and attracted new sponsors to women's basketball. Companies know that when they partner with Clark, she doesn't just represent their brand, she actively grows their fans. Business through her influence and broad appeal. Wilson, on the other hand, creates division and drama. Her public complaints and social media digs turn off potential customers and create uncomfortable associations for brands. Clark's endorsement success fuels a positive cycle, drawing even more companies eager to partner. With someone who moves markets and generates buzz, Wilson's jealousy and toxic behavior have effectively shut her out of major endorsement opportunities. Corporations naturally choose partners who uplift their brand, and Wilson's actions have made that decision simple. Her meltdown over the highest paid athletes list perfectly illustrates why she'll never reach Clark's level. While Clark builds a global empire through positivity and genuine connections with fans, Wilson's negativity has tainted her own brand. Companies invest in Clark because she represents growth, inspiration, and influence. They avoid Wilson because she represents division and controversy. Clark continues expanding her reach across multiple industries, while Wilson remains stuck in the same narrow circles. The financial gap between them will only widen as more brands recognize the difference between an athlete who builds communities and different, one who tears them down. Tell us in the comments why you think Wilson didn't make the list, even though she's a WNBA star. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.